What is up, you guys? Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm really excited to actually do this one because it's one of my favourite films of all time. I'm excited to be talking about this film and going through it scene by scene. So if you've seen sort of my She's All That video, you'll sort of know the structure of how I'm going to do this video. If you've been watching my videos for a while and you still haven't subscribed, then I hope today is the day that you can officially subscribe, and hope you enjoy my content. That's all I really want from my channel, is that you guys enjoy my content. But enough of me rambling on. I will be talking about one of the most iconic films around, and most iconic film since the 90s. It's a film that still is as popular today as it was when it was released over 20 years ago, and that is the one and only Clueless. Now, Clueless is iconic for so many reasons, from the characters, you know, Cher, Dion, Ty, to the fashion. You know, you had the plaid yellow sort of outfit, and then you had the most quotable lines in movie history, I think.
Ew! Get off of me! Ugh, as if!
Clueless is literally one of those films that you can quote every single line and it never gets old. I'm literally still quoting Clueless till this day. And even if you haven't seen the film, you probably know some of the classic lines from Clueless. But before we get into talking about Clueless, just want to mention that I will be talking about scene by scene, so this video does have spoilers. So if you haven't seen it or just don't want any spoilers, then please click away, because I don't want to spoil anything for you guys. But I know you're going to love this video, and I know you're going to love watching Clueless if you haven't already. So let's get straight into the video. And Rambo makes another cameo, humping my arm. But yeah, enough of that. Let's talk about what makes Clueless such an iconic movie of the 90s. So in July 1995, a modestly budgeted teen movie was about to arrive in theatres, only to become a major box office hit, launch the careers of its teen cast, influence fashion for over 2 decades, and become a staple in the minds of teenagers around the world, and teenagers to this day as well. But Clueless, written by Amy Heckerling, has become a phenomenon in modern pop culture and just iconic for anyone that grew up in the 90s. Clueless touched a chord with teen girls, and Paramount started working with Heckerling on a TV series based on the same name. So I don't know if you guys remember, but there was a Clueless TV program. It didn't star Alicia Silverstone, and I don't think it lasted for very long, but I did actually watch that as well. It had some of the original cast. It had Dion, it had Amber, it had Murray, but it just didn't, it wasn't the same as the movie, and I think it's purely because the movie had Alicia Silverstone. But not only that, you know, you couldn't just capture the same sort of heart that Clueless had, which was unfortunate, but it was still a good TV series. The success of Clueless would also revive the teen comedy genre, resulting in a flood of 90s teen movie comedies like She's All That, and then you had Not Another Teen Movie. You had so many teen movies around that time, and I think it all sort of started with Clueless being that film that catapulted all these teen movies, such as you had back in the 80s with John Hughes movies. It was sort of the same thing, but just for 90s. Clueless is a love story and a coming-of-age story. But above all things, it's a story about trying to be a better person, trying to do the right thing. So if you've seen Clueless, you know that at the start, she plays this really privileged, sort of shallow girl, but then as it goes along, she really grows as a character, and you see her really, Rambo, just kiss me, and you see her really becoming a better person and growing into more of a woman and really helping others, and you see how she does that throughout the film, even if it may come across as a shallow way, like when she gives Ty a makeover and she takes Ty under her wing. That's sort of her way of helping Ty and helping her navigate the stresses of teenage life and high school, especially in America. Clueless isn't just merely a touchstone for 90s generation. It's a movie about a rich Beverly Hills teenager and her friends that continues to be passed from generation to generation. And I know that when I have kids, they will definitely be watching Clueless. Probably not at a young age, but they'll definitely watch Clueless because it's a film that I've loved and I still love to this day. And it speaks to teenagers. It doesn't talk down to teenagers. It speaks their language. It speaks to you as you're smart as an adult. You know, a lot of teen programs or teen films really talk down to their audience, but Clueless doesn't do that, and I think that's what people love about it, and that's what makes it so iconic to this day as well, is because it knows its audience and it knows how to cater to its audience. Now we're going to take a short break. So get your tea, get your coffee, get your popcorn, get whatever you want, and come back, and then we will get into Clueless and scene by scene reaction. Now, when we first meet Cher, like I said, she plays this privileged girl who has it all. She's rich. Her dad, is he a lawyer? She has this massive mansion in Beverly Hills. She's part of the popular girls. She's pretty, she's popular, she has the best clothes. She even has a walk-in wardrobe, but it's a rotating wardrobe or closet where all her clothes basically just rotate and she gets to pick out her outfits, and she uses a computer to match her outfits and pick it out for her. So if you want to talk about privilege, Cher is the epitome of privilege and white privilege. Cher also at the beginning on the sort of narration, she insists that she lives a totally normal life for a teenage girl, but that's evident that she doesn't, just based on the next scene that I mentioned where she's just super rich and she does not have a normal life, because I don't have a closet that rotates, and I would one day love to have a closet that rotates, and I'm sure all of you do. It's evident from the beginning scene that Cher's view of the world is completely at odds with the world, how the world actually is. So the way she views the world, obviously through her privileged sort of life, is completely different to how someone else would view the world, especially someone like Ty as well, who when we meet Ty, you can see she's not from the same world as Cher. She wasn't popular. I don't know if she's as rich as Cher, but she definitely has a different outlook on life. And also Josh as well, who, yes, is her stepbrother, but because he doesn't live with them, he's away at college and things like that, he has a more grounded, down-to-earth view on things and personality, and you'll see that and how it impacts Cher sort of as we move along in the film, and I'll go into that in more details. But yeah, she just really has a sort of blurred outlook on life, and she's living in this bubble that is basically clueless.
Shopping with Dr. Seuss? Well, at least I wouldn't skin a collie to make my backpack.
But I also think that the way Cher is and how her friends are is what makes the film so funny and has so many memorable quotes, because she really does think that everything she says and does is the right way, and there's no sort of going against that, because she is living in a bubble, so she does not see what the real world is, and that's what makes it funny, because she is clueless. She's not stupid, you know, she's not dumb. She's actually quite smart, and we'll get into that, but she is very clueless about everything that's on the outside, and I guess that's what makes the film so funny. So then we move into a scene by scene breakdown. So the next scene shows Cher at school with Dion, and we get to properly see Dion, and they're in their matching outfits. Cher's wearing the iconic yellow plaid skirt and sort of jacket or blazer, if you want to call it, and then Dee's wearing the same but a black version, and it's super cute, and I know like people wear that to this day, even for Halloween. This is iconic. Then we skip to Mr. Hall's class, where Cher is giving her side of a debate against Amber, who is this other popular girl in school, but her and Cher do not get along, and I think it's because Amber is just attention seeking and she wants to be exactly like Cher, and it shows that when she copies her outfits and stuff throughout the movie, but she basically wants to be Cher but isn't, so that's why there's this sort of, they butt heads, I guess, and they're in this debate class together on opposing sides, and then you have Cher give a speech which in a way, you can see that she's quite smart with her idea, but the way she just presents her idea just comes across as she just is so oblivious to everything, but that's what makes it funny. And then you get the funny Amber quote where she's like, whatever, and that always makes me laugh.
Hello, it was his 50th birthday. Whatever.
Makes me laugh, and yeah, we just get to see more of the characters' dynamic in this scene, and you see the skaters, you know, you see the girls sitting at the back with their nose jobs. Literally everyone in this movie has a nose job. Like, how? You teenagers? Like, is this real? Is this real in like American life? Like teenagers get nose jobs in high school, but whatever.
Whatever.
What's both problematic and amusing about Cher is it's her ingrained belief that whatever she thinks, says or does is correct, which is a definition of white privilege. Moving on, we now see Cher at home, where we're introduced to her family life, and we meet Josh, played by Paul Rudd for the first time. And we really see their dynamic, as I mentioned earlier. They have this bickering brother and sister relationship, but he doesn't live with them, and her dad and his mum got divorced, so they're no longer siblings, but Josh just hangs around there for some reason. I don't know why, but you can tell, I think, from the start that he just, I think, liked Cher even from the beginning, because he hangs around there all the time and probably just sort of fascinated with her world and her life because he's not on the inside of it anymore.
You know, in some parts of the universe, maybe not in contempo casual, but in some parts, it's considered cool to know what's going on in the world.
Josh is basically her balance, and he balances Cher out. He offers a perspective that's contrary to what Cher believes and says, as we know from Cher's inner monologue that acts as the movie's narration. Because of Josh and her growing love for him, it makes her take a look at herself, and you can see her real change and progression because she's trying to be a better person because of Josh and Josh's influence throughout the movie. And we see that when she's sort of befriends Ty, that she goes from this shallow, just give her a makeover, to actually giving her a makeover on the inside as well as on the outside. Then we're back at school the next day, and we see Cher plan on how she would get the teachers to change her grades because she's not happy basically at the grades she got in debate class. So she basically manipulates the teachers into giving her better grades, which I don't know how she does this, but I guess this is her white privilege playing an impact on this. And she basically talks her way out of bad grades. And she also writes a love letter and tries to set two teachers up in an effort to distract them. And then we see her grades are changed in a few scenes later when her dad asks her how her report card had changed in the same semester. And it's obvious that Cher is very persuasive, and she knows how to manipulate people and get them to do whatever she wants, even if they are faculty members. But it just shows that she is a smart person, and whatever she puts her mind to, she accomplishes and she gets.
Not a total Betty, but a vast improvement.
Well, we did our best. We got a book if we're gonna make it to PE.
Even with Josh, you see her manipulating him into teaching her how to drive and taking her on a driving lesson before her test, where it's basically seen by the pool, and he's not having it, but then he gives in and caves in and takes her driving, and you just see this funny sort of dynamic between them two. And then we hear a Marky Mark reference in the car, which is just a product of its time. I mean, Mark Wahlberg is still even more famous now than he was back then, but it's just funny hearing Marky Mark because it really dates the film a little bit, and you know, you just go back to thinking, oh yes, it is a 90s film, even if you didn't really focus on that throughout the film itself. Now we're at gym class, where we meet the new girl in school, Ty, played by Brittany Murphy. Cher basically looks at her and thinks that just based on her outfit and the way she dresses, very tomboyish, that Cher needs to take it upon herself to give Ty a makeover and basically just take her under her wing and be the big sister to her and turn her into a more popular girl and make her look basically like Cher, even though Ty is the complete opposite.
Use your popularity for a good cause.
Now we have made it to the infamous makeover scene, which I love. I love makeover scenes in movies, and as I mentioned in my previous video, it is the epitome of 80s and 90s teen films because you always have a makeover scene. Some are better than others, some are more dramatic than others. I think this was quite a good one because Ty does change quite a bit. She goes from this tomboyish girl to this really girly girl, Cher look-alike type of person. So yeah, so you just see them dyeing her hair from red to brown, give her another outfit. Basically minimal changes, but all of a sudden, you know, we're supposed to be like, wow, she looks like a completely different person. And that's what I love about these makeover scenes in films, because we're meant to think that she looks like a completely different person when she doesn't. Now it's as if she's going to be popular just because she dresses different. You get it? As if. The most popular quote in this film, as if. Then we see Cher and Ty at Cher's house, and they're doing these sort of exercises, sort of watching, I guess, a video on the TV and just copying them. This scene is important because we see Cher help Ty, and not just on the outside, not just giving her a makeover sort of on the outside and changing the way she looks. She's also helping her, I guess, become a better person on the inside and grow as a character. And I love the next bit, is actually one of my favourite scenes where Ty's dancing trying to impress Elton, and then she bumps her head, and then Elton has to go and pick her, Elton goes and picks her up and puts her on like this countertop, and he basically asks her some math questions to see, obviously to make sure she's not going to get a concussion and to keep her sort of awake. And Cher's like, ask her something that she knows, and that's so funny. And then so Elton does this weird little hand thing, I guess, but I don't know if it was a move that was actually part of the song or not. But anyway, there's a song playing in the background, Rolling With Your Homies. So Elton is like, can you do this? Rolling with the homies. And then Ty does it as well, and it's just this little bonding thing, but it's so cute but cringy, but I don't know, I just love it. I think it's very like 90s and very Clueless. And we all see them going home, and Elton drives Cher home, but she insists that he drives Ty home, but he's like, she lives on the other side of wherever, so it makes more sense for him to drive Cher home, but it's really a way for him to just get with Cher, even though she's doing her best to try and set Ty up with him. This is where we really see how much of a privileged arsehole Elton is, because he doesn't want to date Ty because they just don't make sense. That is his words. He says, we don't make sense, but apparently him and Cher do make sense because they're both from wealthy backgrounds. They're, I guess, just the way they are, they're both popular. Everything about him makes sense, but apparently he does not make sense with Ty because that's all that he cares about is popularity, money, and I guess who their parents are. Then he tries to kiss Cher in the car. And when he does this, Cher's basically like, get off, but no, he does not want to get off. So he keeps trying to kiss her, and she tells him to stop the car. And when she does this, he gets all angry, and she gets out of the car, and she doesn't want to get back in, and he drives off and basically leaves her stranded at this, I don't know if this is like a petrol station, or somewhere. Basically there's nothing around other than a phone box, where she panics and she can't use her phone because she does not have signal, and you get this guy come up to her, and basically the way she likes to describe it is he holds her at gunpoint and he just won't let her go until she gives him her purse. And he tells her to get on the ground and count to 10, I think, and this is where you get the most classic line of Clueless of all time. This isn't a liar. And he's like, and a what? And she's like, it's like a totally popular designer or something like that. Excuse my accent. It's like it's totally popular or expensive designer. And he's like, and I'll totally shoot you in the head. And then she's basically like making these like whining noises as she gets down on the ground and starts counting. And it just basically goes to show just how shallow she is, but she doesn't do it in such a horrible way. It's just how she is. And then she calls Josh, out of all people, she calls Josh to come and pick her up. And despite he's basically getting on with some girl at his college dorm, he drives all this way to pick Cher up. And it kind of shows that he does like her, because he drives all this way to pick her up. And we get to see how smart Cher really is, because in the car, Josh and his girl are talking about Hamlet, and the girl says something, and then Cher's like, it's this guy because Mel Gibson played him in the movie. So that's basically how she knows. It's basically because Mel Gibson played the character in a movie, so that's the only way she knows. But it still shows that she's actually smart, and she takes things in, and she remembers these things, maybe not in a conventional way, but she still has knowledge on certain things that you wouldn't expect her to have knowledge on, like Hamlet. And we skip a little bit, and then we cut back to school.
Searching for a boy in high school is as useless as searching for meaning in a Pauly Shore movie.
We actually now meet Christian, who is this, I like to say he reminds me a lot of Jason Priestley from 90210, but also James Dean. He has this like vibe of both of them, and Cher just automatically falls in love with him as soon as he walks through the door, because he's this clean cut pretty boy, where you kind of see her say at the beginning of the film that the other guys aren't, just based on the way they dress, but he is, and I think that's what she likes. So they start hanging out and they become friends, and you just see her trying to do these little things, another manipulation tactic from Cher, to try and win him over by sending herself chocolates, and just like, for example, dropping her pen so he picks it up and, you know, sees her fabulous legs and shoes. So all these little techniques that she does to try and like seduce him, but in a subtle Cher type of way. And we see her and Kristen go out on their first date, and I love this scene where she walks down the stairs in this white dress, and her dad basically tells her to change. Josh is there as well, and he's like, Cher, come in here please. And she's like, yes daddy. And he's like, what are you wearing, or what is this? And she's like, it's a dress. And he's like, says who? And she's like, Calvin Klein.
A dress.
Says who?
Calvin Klein.
And that is such an iconic scene, and oh my god, this movie is so quotable. I told you, it's so quotable, and I love every line. I can watch this film so many times. And we see him go out on a date. Christian picks her up in this classic, like, vintage looking car. I think it was a green car. And they go out to this party where all her friends are. And then poor Ty, she comes to the party and she falls down the stairs and basically just embarrasses herself in front of all their friends. And then Josh ends up going to the party just to make sure everything is okay with Cher and Christian, but secretly because he loves her. And then he ends up sort of hanging out with Ty and dancing with Ty whilst he's there, because he's a nice guy, and I think that definitely rubs off on Cher, because, you know, Ty was just there by herself, all embarrassed, nobody to dance to or talk to, and Josh takes it upon himself to sort of take care of her, and I think that really kind of wins Cher over a little bit. And then another sort of classic scene is where Cher is getting ready for another date with Christian, where she is basically getting ready to lose her V card, is basically what it is. She's getting ready, she's doing her makeup, Dion's there helping her, doing her hair, helping her do her makeup, she's baking, and basically Christian is going to come over and hang out. And then when he does come over, I love this line where she's like, did my hair fall flat? Was I in some unflattering lighting? It's just so funny. You have to watch this scene if you don't watch any other scenes. And she tries to bake, but I guess the food is just overcooked and she has to try and quickly rush to get it out of the oven. And then they're sort of walking around her house, she's showing him around, and then they start watching a movie, and they're laying on her bed and she's trying to flirt with him and do these little gestures like rubbing her legs up against his legs and doing all that kind of stuff. And I think he realizes, like, oh, I think this girl is into me, I think she likes me. But Lo and behold, No, what am I talking about? Christian is gay, so obviously he's not into Cher like that. But she I guess was clueless and she didn't really know that he was gay. But he doesn't really tell her in that moment. He just sort of says, I'm tired, I have to go, and I'm sorry. And she's kind of left devastated because obviously she has a little crush on Christian, and just was so oblivious to the fact that he is gay and doesn't like her back. Which basically then Murray, I think, tells her in a car when they're all driving on the motorway, he's basically like, Christian is gay, like how did you not know? But that doesn't change anything because they still end up being really good friends and hanging out constantly. And there was a small scene where Ty is chatting to two guys and they hang her over sort of the staircase kind of thing, and she's screaming and Christian comes and saves her and is like, you know, I got you, and basically saves the day, where then Ty thinks basically, you know, Christian is a hero and he saved her life, and everyone at school finds out and is so sort of like, so I guess basically where Ty just becomes really popular overnight just because of that scene, and everyone wants to hang out with her, and now basically Cher just can't get Ty to hang out with her because everyone just wants to hang out with Ty. She has no time, even Amber, and she's sort of explaining how these guys were hanging her over and Christian saved her life and basically getting the sympathy vote, and then Cher kind of gets a little bit annoyed that Ty is turning into this kind of Amber character where she starts becoming a little bit mean because she's getting all this popularity, and Cher's not all for that because she's like, what have I done? I turned this nice sweet girl into basically an Amber wannabe for no reason. And then Cher has her driving test which she fails because she just has so much going on, and she just could not concentrate. She did not have the right outfit. Basically that's what it is. All the drama between her and Ty, and just Ty becoming so popular and basically leaving Cher out, is just starting to get to her, and she fails her test. And we see Ty go over to Cher's house where she takes like a box of stuff that she has from when she briefly dated, well, didn't really date, Elton, and she wants to throw that all away, and they're having this sort of heart-to-heart conversation, and we get, I love this quote, where Ty's like, well, you're a virgin who can't drive. And basically that just upsets Cher, but we get a really quotable scene. And then that's when they sort of fall out a little bit, I guess. Her and Ty fall out because Ty's just becoming so mean, and I guess that's the product of popularity and trying to change someone for the wrong reasons. Cher does some self-reflecting as we see this sort of montage of her walking around, going past shops, going past like a waterfall, just very self-reflection kind of scene. And she's just reflecting on everything, her friendships with Ty, Elton, and just how things have changed from the start of the film to now. How has everything fallen apart for her? As we know, she's very privileged and everything goes her way, so how is everything now crumbling down now that she's grown as a character? It's a good way to see Cher as a normal teenage girl, because in life we don't get everything go our way, we don't get everything perfect, and you know, a lot of us do not have the privilege that Cher has, and I think this really shows her as just a normal teenage girl that goes through these normal relationships with her friends, with guys, you know, even with stepbrothers, but it really shows that she is not perfect and she doesn't have it all put together, and she is just a normal teenage girl. And as Cher is doing some soul searching, we see her help out with some food fundraiser at school and really take the lead on that and put her energy into something that will actually help people, not just with makeovers, but actually help people with this disaster relief that she does, and she really takes control of that, and we really see her putting this energy into something that's good and not negative. which is really a great way for Cher to grow as a character, and we really see that the influence that Josh has had on her has really paid off, because now she's doing things for other people, not just because it will benefit her, but because she actually wants to help other people. Then, of course, Ty and Cher talk at this fundraiser, and they sort of apologise to each other and become friends again, because that is what teenagers are. You know, you fall out, you make up, and then you're friends again, and you shouldn't let something as stupid as guys or popularity get in the way of friendship, and I think that's what they realised. And because Cher has grown so much as a character, she sort of decided to be the bigger person and was like, yes, I'm sorry too for just for the stuff that I've said, or if I haven't been there for you as a friend. And yeah, it really just shows them sort of become friends again, and it's a really sweet, nice, wholesome moment. And then we start seeing more as we get into the end of the film, how her and Josh have started liking each other, and how their relationship has gone from this brotherly bickering relationship to more of a, wow, I think I like this guy, and wow, I think I like this girl. And they have this sweet moment on the stairs where they're just talking, and he's like, you know you're beautiful, okay? And then they end up kissing, and it's like this full circle moment of, yes, you're not my brother. We're not, even though it's a bit like, I cannot imagine if I had a stepbrother having this kind of relationship with him, but I guess it works in the film, and because we know they're not actually brother and sister, I think it's more of like, oh, it's cute, okay, they're sweet together. And he really has helped her develop as a character, and I think that's why we sort of forget that he is her stepbrother, even though his mum and her dad aren't together anymore. But and they never really grew up together, so I think that's what makes it alright. But yeah, it just shows that she has become a better person, and I think it's all thanks to him as well, and the influence that he's had on her. But also he becomes a bit more laid back and not so much about work and structure, and he becomes a bit more fun and playful sort of towards the end of the film.
You think that's all I do? I'm just a ditz with a credit card?
No, that's not what I meant.
And then we see the wedding between her two teachers that Cher had help in their meeting because of her grades. You remember the sort of middle of the film where she tries to set two teachers up, Miss Geist and Mr. Hall, just to get better grades. Well, now we have a wedding scene at the end of the film with them two getting married, and it's all thanks to Cher putting them together. Even though it was for selfish reasons, she actually did a good thing by helping these two teachers meet and fall in love. And it's the wedding scene, and then Cher catches the bouquet, and she's basically like, and you can guess what happens next, practically insinuating that her and Josh got married or whatever. And she's like, as if I'm only 16 and this isn't Kentucky. And to me it's funny because obviously I don't live in Kentucky, but if you live in Kentucky, I hope that doesn't offend you. But it's funny and it's sweet, and yeah, she gets a guy, she gets her friends back, and yeah, it's just this really sweet, fun, wholesome moment. And that is the end of Clueless. I hope you enjoyed this video and all the quotable quotes that are in Clueless, and I hope I did it justice by explaining sort of scene by scene, but also moments that I really enjoyed and felt stood out in the film. And I love this film so much, and I hope you guys enjoy it too. In my next video I will probably be doing another Buffy video, so stay tuned for that, because I know you guys love Buffy and I love Buffy as well. But if you have any suggestions on any other films or TV programs that you want to see in my channel and for future videos, then please comment below. And if you haven't yet subscribed and you're still watching right until the end, then please make sure you hit that subscribe button. It'll mean a lot to me, and it'll just show me that you guys enjoy this kind of content. And yeah, thanks again for watching, guys, and thank you all for supporting my channel. I love you all, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Take care.